Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is for you. This is the Den, episode number 10, our pre-game week one matchup versus the Tennessee Titans. My name is Steve, aka Bronx, and I'm joined by
Matt, aka Nemo, double digits. We made it to double digits, barely. I'm exhausted, bruh. Just trying to sleep so I can go to this game tomorrow. Hella excited.
Lucky you, lucky you. It is Caleb's long anticipated regular season debut, and on top of that, it's a home game at Soldier Field. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yes, it is.
All right, so moving on to our preview of the game against the Titans, we're just going to discuss a few of the offseason moves. We've discussed them for the Bears a lot in previous episodes, but we'll just touch on them a little bit, and then we'll also talk about Tennessee's sort of additions to their roster. You want to start with the Bears, Matt?
Yeah, guys. So for the Bears draft, obviously Caleb Williams won one. Um, we got that pick for the DJ Moore trade when we got their 2023
Mhm.
first round pick or 24, whatever. It doesn't matter. We got Rome at 9. Kieran, I'm going to skip his last name, at 75.
Brown-
Torrey Taylor in the
Brown-
fourth round. And then Austin Booker a little bit later. Notable free agents: DeAndre Swift, um, Kevin Byard, Gerald Everett, who we picked up from the Chargers. For trades, big trade with the Chargers for Keenan Allen and then Ryan Bates as well. Notable departures: we lost Eddie Jackson, but person that was a long time coming, in my opinion. Justin Fields, uh, traded him away. We may see him play because they're saying that Russell Wilson has some like
Calf,
hamstring tightness or something.
calf,
Yeah,
no,
some with
feel
his
the calf,
leg.
same calf, yeah.
Cody Whitehair, another one that I thought everyone kind of saw coming. And then we did get a new OC this offseason, Shane Waldron. He was previously in Seattle. Um,
Yes, he was.
so,
Changing
yeah.
Geno Smith's career, right? Turning him around. So we'll see what he does with the young, fresh Caleb Williams. But moving on, I'll talk a little bit about the Tennessee Titans. Their number one draft pick, seventh overall, was J.C. Latham, the tackle out of Alabama. Another actually a really good pick that I'm interested to see play is Tavondre Sweat, just a massive defensive tackle. They also drafted Cedric Gray, Jarvis Brownlee, Jaquan Jackson, James Williams, and Jalen Harrell. I actually think Jalen Harrell got cut, but that's besides the point. They were really busy in free agency. They signed Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Jamal Adams, Lloyd Cushenberry, the center, Tony Pollard, Chidobe Awuzie, and Quandre Diggs. It's a good thing they picked up Diggs because Jamal Adams. Um, some offseason trades. A real big one: Super Bowl champ Legarius Sneed. Uh, Also, their notable departures. They lost Ryan Tannehill. Obviously, he's still a free agent. So we'll see if any team's interested. Maybe the team up north, the Green Bay Slackers. Sean Murphy Bunting. I think he's in Arizona now. Andre Dillard. Derrick Henry goes to the Ravens. Danico Autry and Aziz Al Shire. I think I said that right. But brand new to their coaching staff. They hired the OC from the Cincinnati Bengals as their new head coach, Brian Callahan. So he's looking to obviously help Will Levis along. You've seen what he's done with Joe Burrow up in Cincinnati. So interesting hire. I think he'll be good for the Titans. But yeah, that concludes our off-season moves. All right, moving on. Our key matchups to watch in this game. Will it turn into a quarterback duel? I don't think it will, just because Caleb's a rookie. He's the number one overall pick, um, making his very first ever regular season start against a really good Titans defense. And Will Levis is a second year pro. He's a former second round pick. Brian Callahan comes in. He's the former, Bengals OC who did great things with Burrow. So I don't necessarily think it'll turn into a quarterback duel. But there, we obviously have to mention them. This is Will Levis's second year. He was drafted to take over for Ryan Tannehill. He did a little bit last year. I mean, he did a lot. He played 9 games last year. He went 3-6. He threw for 1,800 yards with 8 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So TD to INT ratio is pretty good, but he only threw 8 of them, 8 touchdowns in 9 games. That was a pretty rough Titans team last year. Obviously, the Bears were not very good either. Um, so we'll see. Does it turn into a quarterback duel? Highly unlikely, just because of how good both defenses are. Obviously, the Bears could be a potential top 10, if not top 5 defense. And the Titans have a formidable front, a really good defensive line with some really good defensive backs. So we'll see. We shall see in that front. The offensive lines versus the defensive lines. Bears offense line versus the Titans D line. I'm really interested to see how our shuffled up sort of patchwork offensive line is going to match up against All Pro Jeffrey Simmons and that mammoth of a nose tackle in Tavon Sweat. Um, I don't know. I think Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, he's All Pro for a reason, and our weakest link right now is I would say our center and our right guard. So like sort of our right side of the line, with the exception of Darnell Wright, he's really good. But he's only in year 2. Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What do you think about our line versus the Titans?
Uh, kind of what you said. I wouldn't say I'm worried. I'm just intrigued to see how we hold up. I mean, it's the first game, so I think we're lucky for us. I guess we're not gonna see the the Titans D line at their absolute best. Kind of sounds counterintuitive, but I think every team tends to hit their stride in terms of production from players more mid-season, right, than early season. So that is kind of an upside for us, but to predict it, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting, but you know, if you're good enough to make an NFL roster, I think we should be all right. I mean, like you said, we had kind of that weird battle for center where we brought a guy in. We traded for a guy, but he lost. He was going to lose the spot to someone we picked up from free agency. So I don't know. Um, I don't really have too many thoughts on it other than I think we should probably be all right at the end of the day. I'm interested to see how much we decide to run the ball if our O line isn't looking great, but we'll see.
Yeah. And then the Titans O line versus the Bears D line. Um, I'm really curious to see. The Titans O line is really, really young. They have Petit whatever his name is. I think he played at Ohio State. I don't know. This is his third year. Peter Skoronsky from Northwestern is in his second year, but he's an absolute stud. And they have J.C. Latham, obviously, their first round pick, starting at left tackle. Really, their center is the only true like vet, like long term vet, Cushionberry, who they signed this offseason. But to be honest, I think the game could be won in the trenches. And like you mentioned, we have to run the ball. And I would say that the Titans have to do the same because our secondary is so good that we'll talk about it later. And as far as like game plan is concerned, but yeah, if we can, the more the ball is in Will Levis's hands, I feel like the better shot we have to win. Um, but yeah, that concludes our little some matchups to really watch
Yep, yep.
uh, for this game. Moving on, we're just going to talk a little bit about the injuries, the injury report. For our Bears, Zach Pickens is out. I'm not sure what injury he had, but he's out. Some interesting names to see on our injury report were Montez Sweat, the new trade we just got with Taylor and Allen. They're all questionable. Um, I wouldn't see a reason why any of those guys don't play. I think they're all going to play. They just had to be listed because they were probably limited in practice this week. But for Tennessee, Jamal Adams is out. Otis Reese is out. DeAndre Hopkins was questionable, right? Because he got hurt in preseason
Yep.
or in training camp, and he was a question mark for whether or not he was going to play um, against the Bears. But if if he does play, which I think he's going to, I'm pretty sure they said he was going to play. He's a huge target for Will Levis to have. And like us, like the Bears, they have three really good wide receivers that our defense is going to have to guard against. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes out. And they also are uh, Chidobe Awuzie. He's questionable as well. So we'll see if any of those guys are actually out. I doubt the ones that are questionable don't play, but they're on the report. We got to talk about it.
Uh,
Um, Moving on, sort of our gameplay and our game plan and strategy. Uh, I'll start with the Bears, and you can take the Titans. But in my opinion, for the Bears to be successful tomorrow, they have to get DeAndre Swift involved early in the game. They have to do the Bears way, right? Get off the bus running, play great defense. Um, I think it'll only help Caleb get more comfortable, and it'll help for play action, right? The linebacking core of the Titans is not very good. Their secondary's pretty good. Their defensive line is really good. So if we can run the ball and our O line can get to their second level, I expect DeAndre Swift to have a pretty big game um, tomorrow. As far as defense is concerned, I think we have to force them to be one dimensional. We literally have to eliminate Tony Pollard from the game. Pollard's a vet. He backed up um, Zeke, Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas for a while before he became the starter in Dallas, and then he gets the free agency and he joins the Titans roster, becomes one of the highest paid running backs in the league. I think he's actually right below DeAndre Swift, but regardless, we have to force Will Levis to make plays. Um, and in his second year, I'm interested to see if his growth is if he grows, if he's going to be a serviceable NFL quarterback, because it's still sort of in the air with him only playing 9 games last year. So we'll see. And for Tennessee, you want to talk about Tennessee a little bit?
yeah. So for Tennessee's offense, we denoted that we think they got to get Pollard going early, kind of similar to what we have with Caleb, because
Mhm.
you have. uh, I don't really know how to describe this, but it's pretty simple, right? To make the passing game effective, you also have to have an effective run game, right?
Mhm.
You got to make teams think that the person, in the backfield is a threat, and that is Tony Pollard. He's coming off two back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Last year he had a little downtick in touchdowns. It's whatever. I mean, he had six. So definitely a strong point in their offense. And like you're saying, Will Levis has shown he can be a good quarterback, but it's not necessarily coming out and putting up, prime Aaron Rodgers numbers or anything like that. So it will be important for them to kind of set up a dual threat to where if Hopkins does play, Will Levis has the ability to hit him, or we got to worry about the run game. And like you said, our secondary is so just stacked, just can lock teams down that I think, putting Levis out there and having him, bombs away and get intercepted or something early in the game is not something Tennessee's looking to do.
Yeah.
Uh, as for their defensive game plan, I don't know. Welcome Caleb into the NFL. Show him what it's like, I guess. Show him what it's like when your guys aren't getting kicked out of practice for hitting you too hard.
Yeah.
Pressure, pressure, pressure. Right. We've
Yeah.
shown that he has the ability to read pressure really well. But if they pressure him enough, he's gonna try to make a risky throw that he thought he could make it at USC when they were paying a school a big chunk of change to play their shitty program. But yeah, just honestly, just pressure Caleb. That's really about it. That's the most they can do. Speaking
Yeah.
of college programs, though, Notre Dame loses to NIU today. Did you see that?
I did see
That is
that. I was at
insane.
work.
Notre Dame paid NIU $1.4 million to play them,
Doesn't surprise me.
and they
I mean,
lost.
that's
Well, because that's what they do, right? You pay a team, pay teams you think are shit to play you so you can get free wins. But nope. But yeah, that's about it for the Titans game plan. You know, make the run game a big priority, and then also just pressure Caleb, make him do stupid shit that a
mhm.
first NFL game quarterback will do.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder how they're gonna do it. Like, I don't know if they're a blitz heavy defense or if they're just gonna try and mix up their looks, like appear to be blitzing and just sort of uh drop back in coverage, stuff like that. I'm interested to see what they do to Caleb if they try show as many looks as they can at him. But anyways, moving on, we got our PT dubs, our players to watch. You want to start us?
Sure. So for my uh offensive pick for this week, I'm going DeAndre Swift. I think, kind of like we've talked about this whole preseason, veteran guy that can make a big impact. In my opinion, I'd still probably rather have Montgomery in the backfield if we really could, but obviously that ship has sailed. He is now in Detroit. He's also my RB2 in fantasy. Irrelevant. But yeah, seriously, I do want to see the Bears, get an involvement in him, get a good usage out of a dude that is gonna have a lot less nerves than the guy under center, right? Somebody that we know can be consistent, and if we get into a jam of maybe one or two, 3 outs in a 2, 3 and outs in a row or something like that, we could have someone that can get some momentum to get us out of there. And then for my defense, I do have Montez Sweat. I know you're yapping at me because it's kind of a cop out. You know,
I
I
was.
didn't want to do Caleb Williams, like, because you'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I'd be Montez Sweat because I'm intrigued to see how he deals with what I assume is going to be an influx of defensive coverage, or you know what I mean, like offensive coverage and pressure on him in terms of, like, now that he is our standout guy, how well does he adapt to that? And honestly, the best case scenario, as dumb as it sounds, is that he has an okay game, but the other side of our line goes crazy, right? That's
Yeah.
exactly what we've been trying to build this whole offseason. So I'm going Montez Sweat. You may say it's a cop out. I think he's going to play. If he doesn't play, I might be cooked, but he should play. I don't see why he
No,
wouldn't. Like you
yeah.
said, they're gonna shoot him up with Toradol or something, so he'll be straight. Banned by the NBA, by the way, guys. Banned by the NBA.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Anyways, my players to watch, obviously, like you said, Caleb Williams is it's just it's way too easy to pick him. Right, the whole world is literally going to be watching him, keying in on him. So I want to go with one of his targets. I'm going with the vet, the longest or the longest NFL tenured wide receiver the Bears have, Keenan Allen. I'm interested to see how he sort of fits into the scheme. He wasn't really targeted as that often when he was in preseason. I mean, we have so many options for Caleb with DJ, with Rome, with DeAndre out of the backfield, and Cole Komet, and Gerald Everett as well. Like, there's so many options. I'm curious to see how Caleb spreads the ball around, and if Keenan Allen gets the targets that he not deserves, but that he needs. That hopefully he's a safety blanket for Caleb, that he can, go through his progressions and be like, I got to find Keenan. I know he's going to be open. So Keenan Allen's my offensive player to watch. My defensive player to watch, it's the guy opposite Jalen, Tyreek Stevenson. Obviously with teams avoiding Jalen Johnson at almost a record setting pace. The Titans receiving core is actually a really formidable force. They have DeAndre Hopkins, all pro stud. They have Tyler Boyd coming in from Cincinnati, and they signed Calvin Ridley as well, who's just a deep ball threat, but a guy that can chew up some yards after he catches the ball. So I'm excited to see how he comes into this season with high expectations for him because he did have 4 interceptions last year. Um, and but also at the same time he had an injury riddled training camp, so to sort of see Uh, I'm going to be keying in on him just to see how he reacts with Jalen obviously not getting targeted as often. And them always going, seems like, towards Tyreek's side or Kyler Gordon's side. So we'll see what Tyreek does. Those are my offense and defensive players to watch. So we got Keenan Allen, Tyreek Stevenson, and Matt's got DeAndre Swift and Montez Cop Out Sweat.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
but yeah, those are our players to watch. Moving on, we want to talk about our predictions in the game. I just want to talk about sort of our score predictions, but also I'm going to throw in a stat or two. I think the Bears win 31-14. I think Caleb throws for 275 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He protects the ball. But our defense, either there's a pick or maybe a special teams touchdown added in there. I think Caleb's going to be okay. I think he's going to be comfortable. I think as long as our offensive line can stay up, can keep him upright, he's going to make some plays and feed all of the targets that he has. Um, but yeah, 275, 2 touchdowns. Bears win 31-14. Your prediction, Matt?
For me, I'm gonna give myself a field goal for either side. I actually think it's gonna be a little bit closer than that. I originally had 24-17, but I think it could be, or excuse me, I had 24-17. I actually think it could be 27-14 or 27-20. I don't know. I'm gonna say 27-17 though for now. I think Caleb might have a slow start because it's his first time seeing a true one defense all out there all at once. First game at Soldier Field. I mean, it couldn't be a more pressured situation, honestly, in my opinion. And I think they're going to try to rely heavier on our running backs, at least, the first quarter, maybe first quarter and a half. And I don't think we're going to get a ton of great production out of that. So I actually see us not doing well in the first half. I do think Caleb will pick it up. I think just he needs to get in a rhythm early on. Obviously, I'd hope for the opposite, but that's what I'm thinking, right? You know, I don't know. Yeah, I just think that Caleb is going to have a little bit of a slow start. Not even an adjustment period, but just sort of like, you know, I don't know, not even getting the rust off, but just get it really seeing what a true NFL game is like for once, because we all know preseason is BS. And I think they're relying on running backs heavy early on, and that's going to give Tennessee a chance to kind of get in the door. But then late game, second half, I think we should easily have them covered once we get into a nice rhythm. So I got 27-17 Bears.
All right, so we both have the Bears winning this week. I, 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 I'm gonna be honest. I was originally on this sort of boat where the Tennessee Titans were not a very good team, but after like looking through sort of their roster and looking through their new head coach, and I didn't even know that, to be honest, but before I even did any research on Tennessee, I had no idea who the hell their coach was. I thought it was still Vrabel. uh,
Yeah, Mike Vrabel.
I didn't even know that they let him go, so I was kind of surprised to see that. So to see that they brought in a OC that's been to the Super Bowl and took a rookie quarterback in Joe Burrow and really made him a superstar. Not, I wouldn't say the OC made him a superstar, but he has
Good.
a
I mean,
hand. He has
he was the offensive coordinator for a team with yes,
like
right.
he had a hand in helping him along. So uh, kind of like, so even when I wrote the score down 31-14, I'm like, man, that might be even a
That's what I
stretch.
said. I'm going to be honest. I thought that's a little bit. That I think truly, I actually think Tennessee's going to come out way hotter than we will. But I think our secondary is just too good, and our offense has too many weapons that I don't think we could get. We can lose, but that's why I'm saying it could be a 17-24, right? We could be talking about,
Yeah,
you know,
could go either way. Anyways, let the yap fest begin. Matt, anything that you did this week you want to yap about? Because I got some stuff to talk about.
Lost some bets. I lost every single all four of my bets on the games this weekend. First one I had the gimme bet and the Travis Kelsey half a yard that cashed. I needed two Patrick Mahomes passing touchdowns. That did not happen. Um, I needed a Zay Flowers touchdown. He was wide. He was wide fucking open in the end zone. And I don't care what you say, Lamar. Patrick Mahomes is your kryptonite. Fuck that. And then I
100%.
also I also needed a who did I need a touchdown from? Oh, a rushing touchdown from Derrick Henry, which I did get. So that was a shitty beat because Zay Flowers was wide open. And then yesterday, I had two, lost them both. We're not going to go on that, but I lost some money this weekend, guys. But just one bet, and I can make it all up. That's how that's
that's
how it works, guys.
that's how they
But
keep
other
you
than
coming
that,
back.
let you guys in. I'm quite worried. I failed my first exam because it was
Oh
supposed to be
boy.
a paper that we had 50 minutes to write, and we could have brought in like annotated notes on the book. My ass brought in a singular note card with like three quotes and some of my thoughts. I was done in 16 minutes out of 50. So we'll see. I thought I locked in. The Red Bull had me feeling really good pre-exam. So we'll see. It's gonna go to judges' scorecard, I
Going to the judges scorecard. Interesting start to the college career. Um
Maybe
yeah.
undefeated might lose my contract after one fight. I don't know.
Oh boy. Yeah, I had a busy week this week, man. Between work, the kids, Dominic, Big Red right here, St. Ed's football, had his opening game Thursday against St. Norbert Sacred Heart. They lost a barn burner 6-0. Dom was playing everywhere. He was on the defensive line, and if you know Dom, which you probably don't, he's probably one of the smallest fifth graders on any football team anywhere, and this kid was the starting center and the
Oof.
starting defensive tackle, going up against a kid who I still do not believe is between fourth and sixth grade. He was the same size as my oldest son, Gio. He was 6 foot, probably 160 pounds, and he was lined up right over Dominic. Uh, it was insane.
Do they still have like I remember in grade school they had like the stripes and shit? Do they still
Yes,
have that for
yes.
your kid? Is Dom
Mhm.
striped or like they just don't have
Dom is not
anywhere?
shy.
Well, that's what I'm
They
saying. They just don't have anywhere
Uh,
else to play him.
so so the kid that normally starts at center did not play. I won't mention why, but he didn't play. So Dom basically they had 2 days of practice before the game, and Dom was thrown in at center. He's sort of like a utility player. He can play center, he can play guard, he can play tight end, he can play running back. He's a backup quarterback.
Brent
Uh,
Lillibridge, bro. That's a White Sox
uh,
deep hole.
Defense, depending on what scheme we're running, he's on the line or he's a linebacker or he's an outside linebacker or defensive end he played. He made quite a bit of tackles. I think he had like 4 tackles from the defensive tackle spot, which is crazy. So he played out of his mind. Then Friday, so Thursday was Dom's game. Friday was Gio's game out in Sterling, Illinois. We had to drive 2.5 hours to go watch him play. And when I tell you the public school funding is interesting in the state of Illinois, they had a damn jumbotron that had replays of the plays like a
Huh.
college damn stadium.
I
The
saw
home
the
side
uh I saw the clips on Instagram. I didn't know it was that insane.
the it's it was incredible. It was almost like a college field. It felt like a smaller unit, not like a obviously not like an SEC school or something like that, but like a smaller university's field. Like their home bleachers were all like built in brick. They had like beautiful bathrooms underneath. They had a TV like in the
Oh
concession stand
my.
that was playing the game. Like you could watch the game as you were waiting in line for concession stand. Um, the baseball fields and
Damn.
the baseball fields and softball field had like press boxes. And dude, the funding is insane. I don't know if it's private donors or if it's the state giving them money, but the Sterling High School football field was incredible. And I was just saying to my wife that if we hit the 800 million whatever lotto, I'm going to build that stadium for Notre Dame. Um, But
Whoa.
um, the Dons won. Sophomores and varsity won. Sophomores won 24-6. Gio played awesome. He didn't get in on defense as much as he wanted to. He's the starting right tackle. Uh, and he played well. The kid's playing through two sprained ankles, so he sprained both of his ankles, and he's got an infected ingrown toenail. So the kid is
Jesus.
he's
Get bro to a podiatrist ASAP.
his his legs are beat up right now, but he is toughing through it. Yeah, I can't say enough about him and how excited I am to see him throughout the rest of the year. I hope he continues to stay healthy because he's pretty damn good offensive lineman and he's really good on defense. I wish he would play a little bit more on defensive side of the ball. He wants to play a little bit more on defensive side of the ball, but there's freaking 60 kids on the team, so I'm just happy. He should be happy he's starting.
I will
But
say
yeah,
this: varsity has proved the haters, myself included, wrong. Obviously, I don't attend school there anymore. But last year, I literally heard from every single senior that was on the football team that team was not going to get a win. And that genuinely, this might be the first year that we lose to Pats since like 2006 or something. Did they ever lose to Pats while you were there?
yes, I lost the Pats.
Fuck you. Anyways,
All four
so
years.
you lost all 4 years?
Freshman, sophomore, and varsity. We lost every single time to St.
Jesus.
Pat's. Um,
But
but
anyways, they're 2-0. The Pats game was a
2-0,
little shaky from what I've heard, but this Sterling game looked pretty damn dominant to me.
yeah, they won 17-0. Pitched a shutout. Threw the ball a lot, which they did not do against Pats.
Do
Um,
they let like does Gio after the game when they're watching? I assume they stay to watch varsity, right?
yeah,
Did they do they like make him like are you able to sit by you guys or they make him like stand on, you know what I mean?
no, he sat
That's
with us for
okay,
Sterling
okay.
for Pats because of I don't want to get into it. I'll rant on about how I thought what Pats did was wrong, but Pats they played the sophomores on Saturday instead of Friday night
Oh, you already
because
told me. Yeah. We've been through this, bro. They do that shit where and this is no joke to anyone listening who's not from the Chicagoland area. Um, if you have any ounce of talent, you're getting moved to varsity. Like that's no bullshit. That is no bullshit. When I was a freshman, they did not even have a freshman baseball team because they moved up so many kids from sophomore to varsity because they needed the varsity players that they then took all the freshmen, put them on sophomores, and didn't play anyone. We did not play anyone freshman year against Pats, and our sophomore team that year in 2 games beat them 48-0 with back to back. One of them was a no hitter, the other one was a perfect game. They beat them 32-0 in the first game in
Yeah,
3 innings.
so Pats had a bunch of juniors against the sophomores. They basically had they call it a JV. So it was the juniors that but the crazy thing is to me, they have enough sophomores to field a sophomore team. Why not just let them go out there? But no, they decide
Yeah.
they want to do a JV
That's
and bring
that's the same kind of BS that happened with baseball because like since the sophomore team is technically labeled our JV team, right? When you go
Mhm.
play big public schools or bigger private schools like Loyola or something, when we played Loyola's JV last game of the year, half it was their last game of the year and half their team were seniors. Because
Yeah.
JV is just juniors and seniors, and some kid hit an absolute just fucking moonshot off of like our like fourth rotation starter and he was a senior, and this kid was actually I think he was a freshman because we had brought him up to play with us, we were like, damn, that was a really good hit, and they were like, oh, it's his first home run ever in his career here. He's a senior. He's usually terrible, and I was like, well, fuck me. So
Yeah, so that is what it is. But yeah, that was my busy weekend with the boys football. Dom's got his next game on this coming up Thursday. I don't know who they're playing. Um, but yeah, that that
yeah, that
that about
wraps it
does
up. Yeah,
it for the Yap Fest at the end. I think we
yes,
yapped
sir.
more than we
Yes,
actually
sir.
talked about the game. But
Probably, but pretty straightforward. Hopefully, get a Bears fucking dub tomorrow, baby.
Bears dub tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you're brand new here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, smash it all. Follow us on the socials. The links is in the description. But anyways, that's episode 10. My name is Steve, aka Bronx, and
Matt,
for
aka Nemo, signing off episode 10. We did it. We'll see you after a Bears dub, baby.